I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV for the week of August 12th, 2015. Big week for comics. New books, familiar books, unfamiliar books. My favorite book this week was a familiar one, Batman number 43 by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. This is continuing the story of Commissioner Gordon acting as Batman because Batman is presumed dead by the general public. Last issue, it was revealed that Bruce Wayne is in fact alive and is working in a youth shelter, kind of, sort of. He's working at the Boys and Girls Club of Gotham, I think, and sporting a very fine beard. And we get an explanation of what's going on with Bruce Wayne. And that's the reason I chose this book. It is very moving and informative. There are some familiar DC characters that are involved in the telling of this tale. And there's also some stuff that goes down towards the end of the book, which may change the landscape of Gotham City for a while. So would definitely recommend picking up Batman 43 if you're a Batman fan. You're probably reading it already. If you're not, you should definitely check out Snyder's run on Batman, either going back to the beginning with The Court of the Owls or jumping in at the beginning of this storyline, which is issue number 41, so only 2 issues ago.
That's awesome.
The end. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
All right. Let's see. We have a variety of new number ones on the Indy front this week. First couple we're going to hit are Boy 1. This is written by H.S. Tack. It's a great name. I like it. Initials are funny to me. I don't know why. And art by Amanike Nahuelapan.
You asked for it. You asked us to keep butchering names.
This is on you.
We aim to please.
So this is the story of a young man whose father was a sort of, I don't know if he was like a Howard Stark, but he was a tech genius, and he was developing different kinds of drugs and things, and trying to, forward humanity. And we pick him up in his life, and he's involved in his father's company, but he's not really making as much headway as he'd like. And you see there's different things going on, and it becomes a really interesting question of, did his father, who was doing all these advances in medicine and genetics and stuff, did any of that spill over into him? Did he test any of this stuff on his kid, or is there something involved there? And it was actually really good. It's nice sci-fi stuff. You get some great interaction between the main character and a kind of Jarvis-style AI his father designed, which is very cool. And the end of the book, you see him kind of trying to delve more into his past, and it takes sort of an unexpected turn. So I really liked it. It was very cool. Boy 1 from IDW.
You're going to continue with your
I'll keep going.
Indie barrage?
Just keep talking. Next up, we've got America Town, issue 1, written and created by Bradford Winters and Larry Cohen. And this is a story of a world not unlike our own, with a few exceptions, in that America has had some economic problems, and now many Americans, in order to find jobs, have had to immigrate to other countries, some of them illegally. So, as opposed to having a Little Italy and a Chinatown in New York City, now you've got America towns in places like Buenos Aires and other major metropolitan cities in other countries. So this specific story follows a man who's trying to illegally sneak into another country to get a job to support his family, and what he has to go through to do that. And it's very cool, very... I don't know. It's not really an action story, but there's definitely threat of violence. I mean, because they are subverting the legal restrictions of both the area and international law, and there's definitely chance of violence and death. But it was very cool family stuff. The guy and his son to be put in this position, and it was just really. It wasn't the sort of story you see very often in comics.
Okay. Next up for me, Star Trek Green Lantern: The Spectrum War. Issue number 2 of 6, written by longtime Star Trek writer Mike Johnson, artwork by Angel Hernandez, who's also done art on previous Star Trek books. This is just fun and awesome. Should be no surprise that I'm talking about it as a huge Star Trek fan. And this is the J.J. Abrams Star Trek universe mixing with the DC Comics Green Lantern universe. So Hal Jordan is the main protagonist on the DC side. Of course, you've got the crew of the Enterprise. So there's a ship that ends up exploding or something like that, and a bunch of lanterns die, and their rings go out in search of new bearers, as they are often do. I don't even wanting to do.
As they are apt to do.
Apt to do. Something like that. Apt Pupil. Did you see that movie?
I did.
Anyway, so members of the crew of the Enterprise happen to be chosen as worthy for several of these rings, and the Klingon General Chang from Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, of course, this is his introduction in the J.J. Abrams Star Trek universe, receives a yellow ring, of course, and goes all crazy. It's just great seeing these characters interact together, and seeing Chekhov bearing a ring, and Uhura and McCoy are all three of the crew members on the Enterprise that end up wielding a ring. You get an official introduction between Hal Jordan and James T. Kirk in this issue, and at the end of the issue, you find out that Chang may have to contend with the original Yellow Lantern, Sinestro. So if you're a Green Lantern fan, you have to be picking this up, and I'm very pleased to see the sales on this book. This is the best-selling Star Trek book since the prequel to the movie, I think, that came out back in 2009, and it's because of the Green Lantern component. I think lots of you that are Green Lantern fans are have checked out the first issue, and if the number of questions that we've gotten over the last few weeks, or last week or so, as far as when is the next issue coming out, is any indicator, you liked it. So if you haven't checked it out and you're a Green Lantern fan or a Star Trek fan, you absolutely should. It's a lot of fun.
Two more number ones. We've got Phonogram number 1 from Image, The Immaterial Girl. This is written by Kieran Gillen with art by Jamie McKelvey, who you may remember as the team on the first 2 Phonograms, as well as the team on The Wicked and the Divine and Marvel's Young Avengers from the all-new Marvel relaunch last time. So this is more of a service announcement. If you're liking Wicked and Divine, you will probably like Phonogram. Wicked and Divine is about gods showing up. This is more about music is magic. Specifically,
which it is, by the way.
It totally is. And I always find these interesting, partially because they tend to be about music I don't listen to, because it's set a little before I was reading or listening to music. And then, Gillen does some cool info in the back, say if you like this, go to that, or this is the song they're talking about in this scene and stuff like that, which is very cool. So if you like Gillen, that's definitely something you want to check out. And also this week we've got The Four Doctors number 1. This is from
Titan.
I was going to say IDW, but they don't have it anymore. Written by Paul Cornell with art by Neil Edwards. You may remember Paul Cornell has written a butt ton of comic books, but also having written a few really awesome Doctor Who episodes and novels that then later became Doctor Who episodes. The 2 that jump to mind are Father's Day from the first season with the 9th Doctor, which we actually get a sort of reference to characters or something that you saw in that comes back in this book. But also the cool 2-part one where David Tennant became human in it was before World War I. But very cool. Paul Cornell's got a great history with Doctor Who. He does a great job of hitting the voices of all the Doctors. The 4 Doctors we're talking about here are the War Doctor, and then 10, 11, and 12. The story's funny. It fits really well with the feel of Doctor Who, and it's certainly worth a look. And if you're into Doctor Who, of course, this Saturday is Doctor Who Comics Day, or maybe tomorrow if you're watching this video when it went up, or maybe in the past. You don't know. But check out your local comic shop. There's probably something cool going on.
Finally, for me, and I have to pause here and point out that all 3 of my picks this week were DC Comics, which may have never happened before. I don't know. And there was a lot of great stuff that came out this week, but these were the 3 that really grabbed my attention. And this is Action Comics number 43, written by Greg Pak, art by Aaron Cooter. Continues the storyline of Clark's identity being revealed to the world, and he's got maybe 10% of his superpowers. And the Action Comics storyline is basically Clark defending his block. So the people that live in his apartment complex, that live in his neighborhood, the majority of them have come out in support of Clark Kent, the man. And we've had a huge confrontation between the Metropolis Police Department and the citizens on that block, and now we've got an alien, well, in addition to Superman, but we now have an alien component, and we now see that there is possibly an infestation and a conspiracy that goes very deep within the city of Metropolis. I thought it was great. It had great action. It had dramatic moments. I really am enjoying, and I've said this numerous times, so you may be tired of hearing me say it, but this new take on Superman is the most interesting take that I've seen probably since I've been running a comic shop, so in 10 years. And I like that they're kind of doing this across all of the Superman books that are being published. But action is really strong. The artwork is great. The writing is great. And just the human element of this storyline is what is attracting me to it. So not too late to get on board with this. Again, we're only a couple issues in. Whether you just pick up Action or check out all of the Superman books that are currently being published, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. If you're a Superman fan, you should check it out. If you weren't happy with his portrayal in the New 52, this, I think, is probably a little closer to what most of us think of as Superman.
So, what does Daredevil do in this book? I swear to God, that's the John Romita Jr., Frank Miller Daredevil. That's the only reason this little gem or lapel pin is there, so it doesn't look exactly like him.
Well, his hair's not red, it's brown.
Right, but it's in that same... And if you look back in the old one, that's about the color it looked.
Yeah.
But, sorry. Last up for me this week from Image, we've got Beauty #1, written by Jeremy Hahn with art by Jason Hurley. I'm sorry.
Co-written.
Co-written by Jeremy Hahn and Jason Hurley with art by Jeremy Hahn. And this is the story of a sexually transmitted disease that you actually want to get. It makes you thinner, it makes your hair grow back, it makes you younger, it makes you hotter. So you have this disease, which a significant portion of the population has contracted. At this point, they've seen no negative side effects from it. And I really like what they did with the story, because that concept is kind of neat, but the way they twisted it and the way you're looking at it, we're essentially following our main protagonists are police detectives investigating things, and they have bodies turning up that have the beauty, which is the name of the sexually transmitted disease and of the book for that matter.
They should call it the booty.
Yes. And it becomes very interesting as they investigate the crimes, because you get to this point where if you suddenly wake up the next morning and you're hotter, what happened? How did you get the disease? Who have you slept with? You didn't know? And it's just very interesting and not geopolitical, interrelationship stuff. And it's a cool noir, and obviously, based on the cover, maybe the beauty has some other side effects other than making
Side
you the hot.
effects of the beauty may include
burning from the inside, according to this cover.
That actually happens with most STDs.
Yes.
Not that I've heard anyway. I don't know.
I don't have a prescription.
Go ahead.
And other than awesome comics, we've also got some really awesome stuff coming out of DC Collectibles lately. We've got the GCPD badge, as you've seen on the TV show Gotham. This is nice. You got a belt clip. You can wear it on a thing here. But very cool. And those are $29.99? $30?
I don't know.
So it's a nice little thing.
It is super
great
cool.
for Halloween.
Yeah.
And of course, the Flash ring, or technically the reverse Flash ring,
because
from
the
Flash
symbol
TV
is
show.
reversed, just so you know. That's the tip-off, is that the lightning bolt is running the opposite
It goes
direction.
the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And this, of course, has the iconic little space inside. There is no micro costume in here, unfortunately. But you can keep whatever you need in there. Whatever, I don't know. But whatever you might want to keep in a ring, and just so it's there. But you, too, can be the reverse Flash, Harrison Wells.
Or the,
spoiler
or the
alert.
Flash. Yeah. But these are great. You know, we're kind of at the end of convention season, but from a cosplay perspective, if you're cosplaying as Jim Gordon or Harvey Bullock, this would be awesome. And then
Renee Montoya, Crispus Allen. We're not going to head you in. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, super cool. I've been really impressed by the DC Collectibles prop replicas they've been doing lately. Yeah,
and that badge is just one of a line. They're doing Starling City from Arrow and Central City from Flash as well. Those will be forthcoming in the next couple months.
Yeah.
And if I didn't say, the Flash ring is $30, or sorry, $34.99.
Yep. All right, so thank you for answering our question last week about which Secret Wars miniseries you're enjoying, and we got a lot of responses, and I think that was helpful for everybody to see what other people are enjoying. So the question this week is a question we've already asked on Facebook, and a question you've probably asked yourself. Did you see the Fantastic Four movie, and what did you think of it? Please refrain from profanity, from outright bashing. Offer some constructive comments on the Fantastic Four film. And I actually read this morning that Fox is moving ahead with the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
For the love of God, why? They just...
Well, in addition to the fact that it doesn't actually matter if it does well or not.
I would argue that it does. I mean, they're going to keep losing money on this, and
You never really lose money in the movies.
Unless
But
you're
it's also
Fantastic
a great negotiating tactic. If they're moving ahead on a second Fantastic Four movie, and then Marvel approaches them or something, they're in a stronger position to negotiate if they haven't obviously given up on the franchise. Or
Anyway,
maybe
so
there's another one coming out. Maybe Wolverine will be in there.
We've actually heard from several people. I haven't seen it, by the way, and I won't see it until it's out on Blu-ray. I don't feel the need to go drop a bunch of money to take my two children, my two older kids and myself, to go see a movie that is widely being panned by fans and critics alike. But have heard from lots of people that enjoyed the first 2/3 of the movie. And they raised some very good points, but I've heard equally as many condemnations of the film and using very derogatory terms about the film. So what did you think? If you saw it, let us know. And as always, if you enjoyed this week's episode, we appreciate you giving it a thumbs up on the YouTubes so that people see that you liked it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.